Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckinaround Kickstarter Edition. Today we're going to be taking a look at the most recently funded decks in the past 7 days, as well as any new decks that have come out in the past week, and any decks that are going to be ending in the upcoming week. But before we do, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Don't forget to ring the bell.
So let's take a look at what's going on this week on Kickstarter. So one of the first decks that we want to congratulate for funding this week is the Apocalypse deck by Third Way Industries that is designed by Giovanni Moroni. Second up is the Angels and Demons art playing cards by Timothy Kremer. Congratulations to Legendary Playing Cards in 4 Directions for funding. Congratulations to Playing Cards inspired by Pennywise and History Boxed Learning Made Fun. So the decks that are going to be ending in the next 7 days are going to be the Solo Kid Gilded playing cards, the Hellcats playing cards, the Eternal Rain playing cards, the Poisonous Floriography playing card deck, the Von Art Illustrated playing cards, the No playing cards, the Shodu deck Calligraphy playing cards, the Rays playing cards, and the Mermaids hand-drawn playing cards. So let's jump into the new decks for this week. First one up is the Team Pinto playing cards.
Aaron.
Yep, Aaron's. This is a deck by Aaron Pinto, which is a advertising-themed deck based on his real estate company. So not something we see regularly. I think, ad decks have kind of fallen in and out of fashion over the lifetime of playing cards. So it's interesting to see this approach now. Again, real simple tuck, real nice design to it. Interesting cardistry and fanning elements to it with the house with the red doorknob on it.
Yeah, look, it has a really cool fanning.
Yeah, it looks
ability. It looks like an arrow, which is kind of cool.
And one of the things that was done with this too is, as you can see here, the courts are fully custom, but they're still within that standard kind of vein. They still look like what you would see in a normal rider back deck of cards, but they have those unique little touches to them to make it more personalized to the deck at hand. So you can see, and we'll go through some of those in a bit, I'm sure, but you can see with some of them, they're very real estate oriented. So the Jack of Hearts there has a key in his hand, which is really cool. Queen of Spades holding a little house. Yeah, there's all these little touches to it that make it, and obviously you can see here too, one of the cool things is the kings are actually wearing suits. If you're not even paying attention to it, you wouldn't even realize because they are such subtle changes, but they add so much more character to the deck and to the idea of this being a real estate themed playing card deck. Yeah, and then here on the Jokers you have a transition from the name of normal Joker. So Aaron renamed the Joker cards Realtors in this deck, and then this is Aaron's kind of character here, and then his wife's character as the second Joker. So non-matching Jokers, but that little personal touch to it, which is very cool. Like I said, there's a really neat fanning element to it, just based on the fact that there's this house with the red doorknob. I kind of like that. I'm partial to simple decks that have that kind of interesting fanning element. It's really easy to find a lot of decks that look beautiful on the back but don't have a nice fanning element. So throwing something like that in there is a nice little touch. It looks like he also went for larger central pips on all of the Ace of Spades, which is something that you don't see that often, which I think is actually a nice little touch. Another recent deck that I think did this was the Incantation playing cards. And you can see otherwise relatively standard pips and indices on the numbered cards. Really a lot of where that customization is going to fall is the aces and the courts, which is cool. Not a bad looking deck. I like the clean colorway.
Yo, there's my hands right there.
I was going to say that tattoo looks familiar. But, these are some... And again, has some cardistry clips to show that the deck isn't necessarily limited to magicians or collectors. I think one of the things that Aaron went for with this kind of project was how it's usable for cardistry, usable for magic, and appealing to collectors as well as an ad deck. So
yeah, the only thing is it's not it's not generally a Magic deck just because it's a one-way back design.
Yeah.
Which it's a pretty noticeable one-way back design. So it's definitely not geared towards magicians, but it definitely definitely, is great for polka, great for cardistry.
Yeah.
Definitely great for cardistry. It has that circle element, which always looks really cool when you're doing whatever the spins are called. I don't even know what they're called, but
It's interesting too. It would have been interesting to see if the T and the P to make that central logo had been like if he could have done some sort of like ambigram there to make it so that it was a two-way back. But I don't think it loses much. The one thing actually that's interesting here too, it looks like a potential, the double backer on it. So I like the colorway on the double backer as well, which it's that kind of reversed, black and white, but then it has like the little blue dot for the door handle there too, which is kind of a nice little transition there.
I dig that back design. That tuck box is cool.
Yeah, no, dude, it's super simple.
The back of the tuck is really cool.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's super clean and simple, but it's nice. Red foil, white. Okay, so one stretch goal, or the first stretch goal on it is for matte black tuck case with white and red foil and a white seal. So adding a little bit more of that customization to it at the first stretch goal, very cool. Limited edition at the second stretch would add silver foil and a numbered seal. All right.
And gilded deck.
Yeah, and a silver gilded deck. That would be very cool. That would actually be a nice gilding on it. You can see kind of a render of it here. Like a nice, like high shine silver on this would complement the black and the white pretty nicely. Holographic foil as the third stretch goal on a gilded deck. Holographic foil on the, this is some nice hollow foil on the tux case itself, adds a little more depth to it. Hollow foil is definitely a hot kind of add-on, I think, right now with a lot of decks as stretch goals go. I don't personally have many gilded decks, let alone hollow ones, but it's an interesting kind of look to it there. And again, though, I think it works for this deck because it is a simple colorway, whereas if you had some of the more complex decks that go for hollow foil, there's just too much going on at that point, you know? Right. I like the hollow seal too. It looks good. All right. A relatively solid campaign. I think there's some good options there. I know the price point's something that we kind of talked about on this one. 17 for the deck out the gate. I know part of that is shipping. And that's on the early bird.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know Aaron's been struggling with this is kind of bringing that shipping down, just trying to get into a more reasonable price point. Yeah,
I think it would be. I mean, the best thing to bring that down would be. I mean, I don't know how much you paid for the decks, but what's the standard price for the deck? One deck.
Yeah, one deck is $14, and then 19 shipped.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know where he is. How much in he is on the deck, but if you had to pay a designer and all this different, things that add to the price of the deck.
Yeah.
But even the retail on the deck, it's in my eyes more of a $12 retail deck. Once you start hitting that $16 mark, you're talking a little more.
A little more, added details to it and added kind of,
Yeah, and just, a different style deck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think tops on this would be, for me, about $12. And if you can go, less than that, great. But, again, I don't know, how much he's in on the deck,
Yeah, it really depends on that. I mean, I think some of the aspect to that I know he tried to touch on here was the more decks you bought, the easier it was to bring down shipping and kind of subsidize that shipping a little bit, but that's tough on a single deck. I think, and this is something I'd be curious to see from like across a lot of campaign point of view, is how many people are coming in and just picking up one or two decks versus 3, 4, 5, 6 and a full brick, So
right.
If most people you're targeting are only picking up one or two decks, you really want to be trying to subsidize the shipping as much as possible on there versus on the higher end. Because I think it depends on, I think on those where you see a lot of people pick up bricks is on those multi-deck, multi-style ones where it's like, oh, a tier is a mixed brick of 3 different styles of the deck, and so you're getting 3 of each. But dude, all in all, I like the simplicity of the deck. I like the custom touches there to it, and I think it's exciting to see some ad decks coming out here and there. So
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think he did a great job. I think the back design is super cool.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job.
yeah. So, and make sure to stick around to the end of the video. We're going to be checking out some of the decks, giving you, what our insights would be as to what decks we would back. And feel free to drop some comments down below. Let us know which decks you like, which ones you think you would back personally, and why, and potentially why you wouldn't back some of them. So next up is the Plant a Tree playing cards for reforestation. I'm coming out the gate. I'm going to guess just based on the price point that this is probably not going through a major publisher or printer. But one of the cool things I think about this is obviously the deck is looking to have a charitable outcome. So,
but this tells me that it doesn't have enough information as to what it's going to, because you know what I mean.
Oh, here you go.
The cause. Yeah. So go up for a second. Go up. Is playing out with a powerful message made of 100% recycled paper. For every deck, 1 tree will be planted. Okay.
Yeah.
But where? Let's make our
right
world greener.
So
IPlantAtree.org. They will plant
Nickelsdorf, Germany. Yeah.
Us.
So it's interesting, very regionally located. Obviously, I'm assuming that the creators are probably located in or around Nickelsdorf, Germany. So make this possible, we teamed up with IPlantAtree.org. Listen, I think it's an interesting concept. The art on the
I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I like the art on the faces more so than the back. I'm not I'm not a big fan of the very trapezoid shape on the back, but I like the colorway on it. I like the quartz. Yeah, it's not a bad deck. And there you go. Oof. Just kidding. $21 a deck. Plus shipping. So $32. Based on the fact that I'll be very candid with this here. Based on the fact that you're succinct in your information, fine. Not a lot of people read a Kickstarter start to finish. Way too succinct here. You literally have 2 paragraphs explaining your entire Kickstarter before you hit the risks and challenges. On top of that, $32 a deck is a lot for any deck. We've seen a lot of charity decks do a lot of good work for a lot less going through reputable printers. I'd be curious to see what a breakdown is of this. How much of that is going to Plant a Tree? That's great. The rest of it, you're $32. How much of that goes to Plant a Tree? How much of that goes to print the deck? How much of that is ultimately profit? $32 is a lot. You also don't mention where the deck is going to be printed. Yeah, there's a lot of details that just need to be involved on this one, I think.
What is it? Plantatree.org?
IPlantAtree.org.
Let's see. Give me. IPlantAtree.org.
Yeah.
Let me do a little sleuthing here real quick.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that one. Again, good concept. Hammer out the details a little bit more. $32 a deck shipped is just not gonna resonate with anyone who's looking to back this deck because they like it and it's a good cause. But that's a lot. For $32, I could probably plant 3 trees myself with IPlantAtree.org.
It's IPlantAtree.org.
Yes.
Oh, here it came up. Let's see. So, yeah, it doesn't say how much it's also in German, so.
Nah. I wouldn't.
So I can't read.
I wouldn't worry too much about it, but a breakdown to that. Think about any charity you donate to. A lot of them have to give breakdowns of what their percentages of fees that go to administrative versus charitable causes. On a Kickstarter that you're looking to run that's charitable, if you told me that it's $32 a deck and $26 of every deck is going to the charity to plant trees, I'm a lot more likely to want to back that. But if it's $6 out of 32 is going to plant the tree and the other 26 is handling printing cost, shipping cost, and then your effort into this, that's a different story. So I think being able to share that will definitely help sell or clarify what the charitable action behind the deck is. So
Yeah, I mean, that deck is like an exorbitant amount of money.
yeah,
Like
that's probably
that's why it only has $200 in it.
This is a different. I'm already switched to a different deck.
No, the
It
other
only had
deck
200. All right,
it
yeah.
only had like $200.
So the interesting thing is, though, too, I think that it might actually be one of the most expensive single deck prices we've seen so far on these recaps. So
Bro, even Geo's less than
yeah.
that.
So let's take a look at these culture cards, multicultural playing cards. This is an interesting concept as well. More of a gimmicky deck, I think, than anything. I'm not exactly a huge fan of the back design.
Definitely not my style.
No, I mean, listen, I think it's a good cause. Look at that personalized tins. I think one of the things when I ran through this earlier is it's reaching out on a personal level. Oh, you want to become a playing card? Like, this is where they're going to be driving to get the most people backing the deck. Otherwise, it's an interesting deck. It looks like they've got a good amount of the court cards sold to people who are interested in the deck already. Yeah, metallic ink on the deck, which I think is interesting.
It looks like a bridge sized deck.
It does look bridge sized, but that may just be the renders, but it does look bridge sized, and I don't know if it talks about printing.
So it's $11 for early bird
Plus shipping. So $17 shipped.
Dang, man.
Yeah, for something that, again, like I don't know. This, it looks like it's UK made, so it's probably using a smaller print in the UK. I think that's fine. $17 though is a lot for this deck. Again, I think they're banking more so on the fact that people probably want to do those personalized tiers, and that's all well and good.
I mean, that's only 12 people, and 2 of them are the owners of the deck. So
yeah, well, at 100 pounds or 90 pounds a piece, like you fund a decent amount of the deck there. 10 gets you a quarter of the way to your goal, but ultimately, not my style. I think this would be an easy pass for me. It just it lacks any sort of like excitement to it.
Yep.
Next up is the L Retro playing cards by Derek McKee. That is pure imagination. Yeah,
this is pure imagination.
Yeah. So, I think we're seeing a lot of old school casino style decks coming out right now. I think a lot of them are done really well. I like the simplicity and the colorway on this. I'll be honest though, the back design is not up my alley.
Yeah, me neither. It's very flat.
It is, and I think, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because we've seen some decks really pop well that were flat. To me, it just, the deck as a whole is kind of flat, with the flat tuck and the flat back. It's, I don't know, it just doesn't speak to me necessarily. I'm very open about the fact that I'm not necessarily a casino deck kind of guy. From a campaign point of view, Pure Imagination knows what they're doing with this stuff. Like, they pop out a good interest.
Can you get one deck though?
Now, 2, 6, or 12. That's an interesting choice. All things considered, though, $21 shipped in the US for 2 decks isn't bad. What's it for a brick? I guess that's my real curiosity there. $111, so less than $10 a deck for a brick.
I mean, here's my problem with it already. You can't buy one deck.
Yeah, that is a very strange choice, I have to say. Like,
forcing someone to buy more than one deck is silly.
Yeah. No, and I'm very intrigued by this.
Go down. So 3 backers have got the brick.
Yep.
Go middle. 6 backers have got
half brick.
6.
And 28 at the 2. So I think it's interesting too. No early birds. Interesting tier choices. Hopefully it pans out. I don't know if I would recommend this as a strategic approach for most people on Kickstarter. I think having those individual tiers, and really sometimes I think people feel overwhelmed by putting so many tiers on their project, but at the same time, like, giving flexibility in how you buy these is, I think, crucial.
Yeah, you got to have options, man. That three options is not enough.
Yeah.
You have to give people the option to buy one deck. Like a lot of people don't want two decks. Most people aren't gonna keep one deck closed, and you know what I mean. And I think,
So the
I mean, I think honestly, if you go to the top, what are they at? 44% or something like that. I think, I mean, it's such a low goal.
uh,
I honestly think if they had the one deck in there, they would have reached their goal already.
it's what's interesting though too is I think it appeals a little bit more to me now that I know this is all metallic ink here. Um, Again, marginally so, but I think the metallic ink on the back will probably make this pop a lot more. And at you know less than $10, well, a little bit over like 10.50 a deck for two decks shipped with metallic ink. That's reasonably priced. All yeah, limited to
It
15
would have been
cards.
cooler if they were reversed. If the silver was, I mean, I assume it's going to be silver, right? Is
What do you mean?
if the background maybe was silver? Oh no, it's going to be metallic
Yeah,
blue.
it's gonna be
That makes
metallic
sense.
blue. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think one of the things.
So kind of like the cherries,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. That's what they mentioned was it's going to be the same metallic blues they used on the blue metallic cherries. So printed by USPCC. Again, you're getting a decent, like you're getting a good quality deck for premium B stock, not crushed. $8 a deck plus shipping really isn't unreasonable. I think the price point on this is
No,
fine. It's just yeah, it's the tier
it's
structure is
great. I think
weird.
the price point is perfect. I think it's amazing. The problem is you can't buy one deck.
Yeah,
That's my big problem. And the fact that you're forcing me to buy two, I'm not gonna back it at all. You know what I mean? If that's all I want, if I wanted that, you know.
yeah, and I do like
Well, I'm just surprised because, like you said, that like they know what they're doing,
yeah.
you know. So
I'm assuming
I'm
that they're
just
banking on
I'm
like
shocked.
the momentum behind their previous decks. Like I mean, listen, everyone knows the cherries. You either love them or hate them. I think a lot of people just love that deck. I'm assuming that
Yeah,
they're banking on the drive behind that to get people funding it. But like again, like why not have a one deck tier? Like I can't imagine that it would have impacted their price point negatively, except on the shipping side, and by that much. Like I don't know. That's a tough one to me.
it's I mean, this is all in the U.S., right?
Yeah, it's all in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
So you want one deck is $4 shipped.
so
So that's 12 bucks,
yeah,
you know. $8 for the deck, $4 for shipping. Even if you do $5 for shipping, that's fine. That's 13 bucks.
yeah. So all things considered, if this is your style deck, it's a good looking deck. The campaign, the price point is fine. I think more than anything, what we're saying is it just seems strange to not have the extra tiers. That being said, if you want two decks, six decks, or 12, this campaign's great for you. So go for it.
Pure imagination. If you're hearing this, go add another tier, one deck. Do it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be curious to see what the logic is. Feel free to reach out to us as well and let us know. Like, drop it in the comments, DM us on Instagram. I'd love to know the thought process behind not having more tiers. Out of curiosity more than anything. Next up, we have the Prototype Playing Cards V2. So I think this is a deck that previously, we're going to jump right into it here, previously was
Yeah,
attempted.
Vin had version one, which
Yeah.
is just a black version. A little different.
I know the running joke behind this deck is like, why don't they just call it the Vin deck? Because of the logo on the back instead of the Prototype Playing Cards.
I mean, he explained all
Yeah.
that in with the last one.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you know what? He's actually he lives in Davis, California,
oh,
and um, I was living in Davis, and actually I just started getting into the card community, and I actually messaged him, you know, that I was in Davis. I'd love to grab his deck. Dude never responded to me.
I mean, when you're trying to sell stuff,
Right.
you got to be answering everything. Also, $20 for a deck of cards. That to me, I mean, listen, it's full custom, but that's a lot to. Uh, it's a lot. 37 for two decks. Yeah, I just can't like. It's not bad looking.
Yeah.
Hanson Chen's printing it, so you know the paper's going to be good. It's going to feel well. It's definitely a cardistry based deck. The price point on it to me, that should be $11. It should be 11 plus 5
Yeah.
shipping, 16 out the door, and I think this would be a more reasonable deck. 20 is a lot.
Yeah, 12 tops
Yeah.
for the deck.
Yeah. 20 is a lot
15
on
bucks
it.
is expensive.
Otherwise, honestly, I like the fan. I like the look of the fan. Where was it? There was a fan that I just saw. This one right here. This actually reminds me of the fanning elements on Luke Wade's Arrow deck, but in red. It's not bad looking. I think it's probably a great cardistry deck. It's got some good visuals on it. That price point's just a smidge too high to me. You know.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his deck.
Yeah.
I think they look cool. It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
For me.
So. But not bad. What do we got next?
What's he at percentage wise? Yeah, I mean, he's
77%. Yeah, I mean, very likely that it's going to fund. So,
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Abacus playing cards. So this is another one. I feel like every week we say like I have heard nothing of this deck prior to this. Like, if you're not pushing on social media, please go push on social media. Make sure people know your deck because you're missing a whole untapped community to come and back these decks. That being said, $1,000 goal, probably going through maybe NPC, someone like that. I like the art. I don't like the fact that I'm assuming that's a Joker and it just doesn't say anything on it.
Yeah, it looks like Pharaoh, like a Pharaoh deck.
Yeah.
Like old school. They don't have indices on it, so you're kind of guessing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like the art. Well,
I think it looks cool, but unfortunately,
now I'll tell you why this deck doesn't work. This deck is impossible. So everyone has 2 big pips on it, and the number of dots on top indicate which card it is. So this is never.
Can't do anything with it. I guess you can do cardistry with it.
I mean, listen, I like the concept. I think it's a interesting concept. It would take you 3 days to play a game with this deck. Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
I like the artwork though. I think it's really intricate. I like the border.
Yeah.
I think it's well done, but definitely a problematic design element, not having indices and then making it so that you have to basically read 3 little white dots on a pip to figure out what card it is.
What's the whole thing behind the back design? What's the story on them?
This?
Yeah, like what's that have to do with the front?
So like these are like abacuses here. I don't know what the plural of abacus is, so I'm just gonna go with abacuses.
Abaci.
Yeah, I feel like if that's wrong, I just look foolish saying abaci, so I'm gonna say abacuses. But
metallic inks and foil
with $1,000 goal, interesting. I'd be curious to see where this is printing through. I mean, listen, I think that back design is awesome. I really like the back design on this. I think the card fronts need a different approach, but this is a dope looking deck otherwise. I'd be curious where it's printed. The foil and the metallic inks, awesome. And the price point on it is $20 a deck. Again, with foil and metallic ink, like a little more reasonable, but I'd be curious who's actually printing.
I mean, that's good pricing for a metallic and foil deck.
Yeah.
For sure.
24 shipped non-early bird. So this deck has a lot of potential.
But look, here's the difference between this. Go up.
Yep. What do you want me to?
No. On the price tiers. Go down. On the price. No, down. Right there. No. Speed demon over here. Go up to the next one. Right. The 2 deck early. Go down right there. So 2 decks is $33.
Yeah.
That's cheaper than the last one at what with 2 decks. And this one has foil and metallic ink.
Yeah. Again, though, I think a lot of that could depend on printer. So, to some extent.
I mean, who cares who prints it? You can get 2 foil metallic ink decks for the cost of that Save a Tree one. Isn't that $37?
It was $32 for the Save a Tree.
Yeah, and that has nothing on it.
Yeah.
So
Listen, I like the deck. I think this has a lot of potential for sure. A rework on the faces would probably be necessary just for usability. But because to me, like as much as this is maybe a collector's deck, like I like the back enough that if this was actually usable, I would use this for poker. Like I think it's a good looking deck. Why not? But yeah, the concept of the abacus beads on the front faces to indicate which card it is.
I think it's cool to have that on the border, but you could also have the indice there with the pip, and then the proper like amount of pips on the face would be great.
Well, and like here's the other thing, dude. Like it's just a lot of work to read this. Like if you have to explain how to read the card numbers, that's a lot. Like
I mean, if you throw a like right here, that's what, a six?
this is a 5, this is a 6, yeah.
Yeah, so if you threw a six up there, and so it's six of spades, I mean, it would make more sense, obviously.
Yeah, it's
But I
a
mean, it's just it doesn't make sense. Like there's I appreciate the concept, but it just yeah, it doesn't work.
yeah. It's a shame because I think there's a lot of potential there, but it happens. Next up we have the Lit Playing Cards V2. So this is by Lit Playing Cards. Um, I know they just recently released some of or they resold some of their like gilded ones on their site. This is a brand new kind of colorway for the deck. There you go, designed after timeless classics such as Win and Jerry's Nuggets. Very much a casino deck. The styling on it is pretty simple. I like the recolor on the courts. I think that kind of mustard yellow in replacement for red is an interesting contrast. I think I would have carried it through to the yellow on the king itself just to make it a little more monochromatic to some extent. Like I think the yellow and the mustard yellow kind of pop a little bit too contrasting in my opinion, but again, Steve can tell you I'm not exactly great with colors, so who knows. um that being said, what are we looking at for a deck here? Dude, yeah, that's not bad at all. First tier, $17 for a deck plus a deck protector. So like think of like any sort of like clear acrylic protector for the deck with a flap and everything. Um and the
Go there's a gilded one if you go up.
yeah, there's the gilded one. I'm curious if the primary tier, if there's any metallic inks or anything like that. Did I miss that?
Don't think there is. I think they talk about it, but I don't think there's any. I don't think there's metallic ink on it.
Okay. I mean, at 17,
There is on the tuck. It looks like there's foil on the tuck.
yeah, which does look. I mean, honestly, that pops really nicely. That kind of justifies a little bit more the price point, the foil on the tuck. And it actually looks like gold foil for the flames, and then the logo on the front is a silver foil. So two color foil on the tuck. That might just be the lighting. It looks like there's different variations here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the standard. So the standard tuck, it doesn't look like it's foil.
Yeah, now it looks.
There's the limited edition,
Yeah,
which is silver foil.
which is $19 shipped plus a deck protector.
Black limited edition. And then you have the private reserve, which
it looks like you can only get the private reserve with the collector's set or the brick. So no standard pricing on that, but I'm assuming that on the collector's set, and we'll have to reach out. It looks like
you get all four. It shows it.
yeah, but it shows it, but the text is incorrect. It should say 1x black limited, 1x black private. Instead, it shows you getting two.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
That would be my assumption there.
Yeah, and then the gilded. So basically,
okay, so the gilded does have the two color foil though. So I wasn't imagining things.
The only difference, other than the gilded, is the tucks. Everything, the decks are the same.
Yeah. Honestly, I like the simplicity of the design on the front. I think I think my favorite is probably the limited. And at $19 for a foiled tuck, that's not bad. I would have liked to see some metallic ink on the back. I think it would have added a little bit more something to it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a very. I mean,
Here's my only
I go for it.
here's my only thing with that limited tuck is the fact that the deck, it doesn't go with the deck. Like it was just created for a new tuck, like it's
Yeah,
all silver, but you take the deck out and it's gold, so it really doesn't go with the deck.
yeah. That's an interesting point. Yeah,
Because for me, I'm all about silver. Like
yeah.
looking
The
at
black and
that, I'm
silver
like,
looks
that's
good.
dope. If
Yeah,
I open that up and they were gold, and they were silver on there instead of gold, I'd be all about it.
yeah. And then we see the V1
Yeah.
privates you can get as a an add-on. Same for the purple gilded V1. So a good amount of add-on options for this. Again, I think the price point's reasonable for what it is. If you like casino decks, this is definitely a deck to jump on. Reasonable stretch goals, custom ad cards at 10, coins at 12.5, and then custom seals at 13. That's always another one I'm curious about too, how well coins actually sell. And I know with some of the campaigns we've talked to in the past, coins don't sell great, but they sell just enough to make it
Yeah.
worthwhile. So I think that's kind of an interesting concept to see if coins will become more commonplace across more campaigns. But I do think the
Yeah.
one thing, and you can see that obviously Lit playing cards knows what they're doing. There's no shortage of information here. It's a well-designed
Right. Yeah.
campaign. The price point is good. I think they do really well with the with explaining what you're getting on the deck. So kudos on that.
So what's above the collector set over there? If you look on the right, so there's
The T tier,
three.
which is
So three decks.
3 decks for 47, and you're getting
You
two.
only get two protectors though.
Yeah, two protectors for the limiteds, and then I guess you're using the standard. And then the limited plus a deck protector is the I tier. The L tier is the standard plus a deck protector.
All right. So you have the standard, you have the limited.
You have the private reserve, and you have the gilded.
Right.
So
But you can't go down on the pledge side.
you cannot buy
So
the
right
private
here, hold on,
reserve
hold on.
separately.
Go down. Okay, so you can get a brick of the. Here's the black limited brick. You can't get the standard brick,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it looks like.
Wait. No. Hold on. Black limited and then black private reserve.
What about it?
Isn't that the same thing?
Now,
Go down.
the limited is the silver.
There's the limited.
The private reserve is the
All the way up. Go all the way up.
white and
Right
black.
here. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So go up. Yeah, see, there's the standard. So in the brick, you don't get standards.
No,
You just
you
get
get
limited
11
and private
limiteds.
reserve.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't. The only way you go down on that side, so you get two collector sets. So you can't. The only way to get a standard is if you buy the single standard
Yes.
or the collector set
Or add-ons.
or add-on.
Yes.
Or add-on. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been smarter for Lit to put the add-on. I mean, to create a tier for that standard brick. That way, he doesn't have to pay the extra money on the backer kit side for the add-on.
Yeah.
He's gonna lose a ton of money on that backer kit side.
Yeah.
But cool.
Yeah. So, Steve, what would you back this week?
My style, I think I'd back Prototype and Lit if I was gonna back
All right.
on this week's stuff. Some cool decks though outside of that. Just not my style for a few of them.
Yeah, I think on my end, I'm intrigued by the Abacus playing cards. I think there's so much potential there. I wouldn't back it as is, but I think that if that doesn't fund and it gets a revamp with some more usable fronts and discusses who the printer is, I'd probably back that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd back the Lit playing cards too for a deck. I think it's worthwhile. Team Pinto, that would probably be the other one I'd back there just because I like the style of it. I think it's got some quirky character to it, but yeah, that would be it on my end.
Word.
Yeah. So
Sounds good.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check us out next week for another Kickstarter recap.
Peace.